Mercedes w163 windshield wipers don't park properly. They stutter and you have to kind of flick the switch until they go down to where they properly are. When they try to park themselves, they're like 6 inches up on the windshield and they stutter. They sit there going brrr, and they don't want to go all the way down. You have to keep flicking the switch until they park properly. So we're going to fix that. First thing I want to do is take the hood and prop it on the second prop rod ball joint here. There's a metal clip like this. It goes around the top here. Take a screwdriver and flathead screwdriver and just pop that little clip off on both sides. Pull the pin, it's off of this, pull the support and put it on the lower one, and then you're going to have to either have someone holding the hood for you while you go to the other side and do the same thing, because the hood, it won't support on one rod, or you'll just kind of have to hold it and work your way to the other side of the car. Just be careful, because the hood will not support itself in the one rod once one is off, and you can't move this one to the lower one unless both are off. So take both off and then move them both to the lower position, and the hood will end up raised 90 degrees. I don't like this. All other Mercedes had an ability to just push a button and extend the hood strut and lift it up without having to pop the clip off, but you get what you get. Second step on, you have to start removing the plastic trim piece. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself here. I thought I had the camera on when I recorded this and it wasn't. So I'm not going to go put everything back together. There's a bunch of little metal clips like this that hold the plastic top here on. You simply turn them and slide them off. There's about 6 of them. And then the windshield washer squirters, let's put this one back in. It's kind of hard to do. Okay, you know what? Basically you pinch these 2 little fingers down here, pinch them together and pull straight out. Slide it straight out of that slot. You pull those, they're held, those little fingers are held on by the 2 little tabs there. You slide them out. What size is that? 13mm bolts for the 2 windshield wiper arms. Remove the windshield wiper arms and we will be back in a minute after doing that. Okay, and a little bit of a bind here. These wiper arms will not come off the shafts, and I had a little tool that I'd made years ago and that I'd used for removing stubborn wipers, and it was just an altered C-clamp, and this thing broke it. I just ground down the back of the C-clamp. Like I said, I've used this for years for stubborn wipers. Usually the wiper arms do come off, but sometimes you get stubborn ones, and I ground it a little bit further around at the end a little bit so it would go under, and then the screw and center part would push on the shaft and the bottom foot would pull up, and it actually broke. I mean, I know it's a $1 cheap ass C-clamp, but that's a lot of pressure to break that thing. Anyway, I filled the little, left the bolt off obviously, and put releasing fluid, WD-40 in there, putting the caps back on. And I'm just going to turn on the windshield wipers and let that vibrate the WD-40 in for about 10 minutes and see what happens. I'll let you know. Well, I've been trying to soak these wiper arms all day long, and I've used gear pullers, I've used everything on them, and now I'm using a tie rod separator as a final. Hopefully this does it. Bimetal corrosion is one of the worst freaking things. You've got aluminum with steel, and they just weld themselves together as they corrode. Let's hope. Like, there's probably 100 foot-pounds of pressure on that, or PSI, whatever. God. Come on, baby, don't snap in half on me. Just, oh. Hopefully that's not the sound of death. Hopefully that's the sound of a wiper arm coming off. And magic. I must say, I've removed hundreds of wiper arms, and that's the worst one I've ever had to take off. the worst two. Anyway, we'll get back at this thing. Maybe I'll do a little bit more tonight. Back in a few minutes. Okay, so now I can finally, I have to lower the hood down to the original position. I'm going to pull these little clips, last of these little clips off. These ones weren't even holding the rain guard thingy on. Come on out of there, you. Ah, mosquitoes again. And one last one. Happens to be the one holding the washer fluid hose. Okay, that's all of them. Put that back in. And under here you're going to see a bunch of little clips along here. They're tabs. You just slip it, pry it up a little bit with your hand and then slip them, pull them toward you. And once you pop all those, now the fun part is you've got to lift over the wiper post and slide it back, like up the windshield. And it's one big long piece. So you got to kind of go back and forth across the car, truck, SUV, whatever you want to call it. Again, one giant piece side to side, and it's plastic, so you don't want to kill it. And I think I'm going to have to raise the hood. I don't know if I have to raise it a little bit to get over this last post. Huh. Stay off there, you. See that? I'm fighting with the other driver's side wiper post. Because it's not going to come off with the hood up. It's got to come off with the hood down like this. Maybe. Ah, that's the ticket. No, maybe it's not. Well, let me figure this out and call you and get back to you. Okay, appears the trick to get that plastic cowling off is to lower the hood about halfway and prop it up with a piece of wood, because that's the only way you're getting in here with enough room to pull this over the post and actually get the entire piece out. And again, it's one giant long piece. Let's put you on the roof for a minute. And now we just need to take this piece off, and this should be tucked into there. Yep. Okay, let's mount the camera back up. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so the other day we were working on the ML320 w163 windshield wiper vibrating problem, and taking most of the cowl and stuff off. It's 3 days later because I had to work and some other stuff and I got sidetracked. Anyway, so what we want to do now is we've got the leaf cover, the cowling off. I think, yeah, we did cover that the last time. That came off. So now we're just down to we've got two little 10mm plastic screws. There's one on each side. Remove those and then pull this plastic covering that goes across the wiper arm assemblies, the wiper shafts, and I'll get back in 1 second. I forget these two bolts off. Okay, so now these two plastic nuts are off. You can lift it up and you'll slide down toward you. You see the rubber under there, there's a lip. This whole plastic assembly has like a lip that shoots up underneath that rubber piece all the way along. So you're just going to move along and pull that whole thing up and off and over the wiper shafts, and I'll be back in a second. It's very simple, just pull it up and off. Okay, now with the cowling off, we're going to remove the wiper assembly, which is 4 10mm bolts. You got 1, 2, 3, and the fourth one out there in the middle. 4 10mm nuts, and we will pull the whole wiper assembly out. Back in a second. Okay, with the 4 nuts off, then we can wiggle and pull out the wiper assembly. And we are going to unhook the electrical connector on the back. Careful, you're near your windshield. You don't want to break the windshield. So squeeze and pull. And the part we want to get into that's going to be the issue is in here. So I'll get that set up and be back in a minute. Okay, we're now going to carefully pop all 4 corners of the black plastic cover here off. There's 4 tabs. 1, 2, 3, and 1 on the back side. 4. Do it gently. You don't want to break any of these because then you're going to be completely screwed. And then carefully lift it up out of the way, and you're going to find your problem is likely in here. Now what has happened, I've shown this in another video. Now you can see the grease in here, and what happens with any electrical contact, you see the black? That's metal. So basically these little copper fingers, these ones here, that follow along these metal tracks, as they follow along for years and years and years, they get sanded away, and there's very, very fine metal particles in there. As you can see, you can wipe those off. And since they're metal and they're suspended in the grease, they're going to create a contact. They're going to allow electricity to arc over top of those. So eventually the point on here where the contact stops is going to continue to make contact through the grease and continue to keep the window or the wiper motor going and not parking in the proper position because it doesn't know where to stop. So you want to clean all this old grease out of here. You can use electrical contact cleaner, but make sure it's one that's okay on plastic. Some of them are not. Some of them will rot plastic. Make sure you don't use one of those. So you want to clean it out and get it out of all of these little grooves in here. Because these little grooves where there's no metal, that's where the pin hits and stops and knows where to stop. That's how it knows where to park. And then we're going to take the contacts, the little metal, little brass contacts here, make sure that they're flat and bent in the, they should all be equally bent out so they make contact properly. And we're going to clean, oops, can you see those? No, you can't. We're going to clean these off as well and make sure they're equally bent out. None of them are pushed in or pushed out too far. And I'm going to actually, on this one, which I think might be the problem with parking, I'm going to make sure this one's sanded off. It looks a little rough on the edge there. So I'm going to gently file that nice and flat and clean, the little round nib on there. I'm going to file that flat and clean. Clean everything out and then re-grease it with dielectric grease, which does not conduct electricity. You want non-conductive dielectric grease. Same stuff you use to seal electrical connections, plug-in electrical connections in your car. And I'm also going to put some in the electrical connector and pop everything back on, and we will see how that works. That's about it. There's nothing else to tell you here other than that's what I'm going to do. I'll sand that up and I'll show you in 2 seconds. Okay, I also noticed this spot right here. There's a little buildup of, like it was a little thick buildup. It's actually a little hard chunks in there, which is at the parking position, which would again stop it from parking
properly. So I'm just going to get that little buildup out of there, because if it couldn't jump over that little lip in order to park in that little hole there, then it's constantly making contact here, but only partial contact, and which corresponds to that little pin, the furthest left pin there, which seemed a little bit bent and out of shape. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so you can see that buildup on there. So I'm going to get that out of there. Just gently dig it out with, I'm going to get a smaller screwdriver or a pick and get any of this buildup there out, especially this piece between the park hole and the metal contact. Alright, so I'm going to clean that up and be back in a second. Okay, cleaned up, re-greasing. And again, these pins, in order to make sure they make contact, I'm going to bend them the tiniest little bit this way to make sure, ensure they continue to get good contact. Like 1/2 millimeter. And just like I said, make sure they're straightened out. We're going to pop this back on. Put a bit of the dielectric grease inside the socket, and I'm going to go place this back on the studs on the bolts and plug it in, and we'll see if it stutters anymore, if it actually comes to a stop. So I'll put that back up. I'm not going to bolt it all the way, I'm just going to partially put the nuts back on, the 4 nuts that hold it in, and make sure this is working, and be back in a minute. Actually, while this is out, I might as well lube and grease up all of these fittings. So I've popped the ball joint off of the one side. The two sides are identical. They just pop up, stick a screwdriver in there and pop it up and off. Grease it and pop it back on. You may need to use a pair of pliers to pinch it back on. You might just pop. No, and you just have to use pliers. So I've used a pair of pliers and pinch that back on. Do both the joints, and I'm going to spray a little bit of, I don't know if I can spray grease from the back of this one. I can. So I'm going to soak that down in some grease and oil along the joints, along all the, so the shafts are never have to worry about again. They'll be lubricated and probably never have to be touched again the rest of the life of this vehicle. It's 15 years old now. And it's probably never been done, and probably will never have to be after this. So I'm going to lube up these ball joint socket arms and pop them back together, and lube everything else up and pop it under there. It's been about 3 minutes, and I will be back. Okay, so I'm just putting the wiper assembly back in, and I've tightened the 2 nuts on the end just to make sure. I don't want this thing to fly up. If it flies up and touches the windshield and cracks it, I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to put the top 2 on fairly, you know what, let's just tighten them all down, just to be safe. It's a wiper assembly, it's like a 1/2 horsepower motor. It could do some damage to a windshield. Those are going to be about 20 foot-pounds that you tighten those to. Probably about 15. So, I'm going to turn the wipers on and let's see if we got any stuttering. On, off. Ah, stopped. On, off. That was parking properly every time. Nope, we've got it parking
properly now. So that's basically it, done. Probably a combination of both, lubing the shafts, the wiper shafts here, lubing those, lubing the arms, that, you know, that stops a little bit of the drag on the motor, and also cleaning up the electrical contacts inside. So now just underneath the cowl, since I'm down here, I'm going to clean all this out, make sure there's no leaves and crap in here, and we'll be good to go. Thanks for watching. Just a quick tip when putting this, the first plastic part back on. Obviously you're going to clean under here, clean the rubber, and clean inside this channel, and it slides up onto the rubber, and then you match it up to the little bolt holes. But underneath there's this channel here matches up to a rubber channel, and this diverts the water down and out of your engine compartment, off of your battery, especially on this side. So make sure these little rubber diversion channels and stuff are all okay. Make sure they're all clear and not full of junk, and make sure this one doesn't get folded up and under, because this little piece of rubber can easily fold up and under. It's just tucked in there, so make sure you keep that out of the way, and don't fold it under. And we're just going to reattach everything the same backwards way of the way we pulled it off, so in complete reverse. Another quick tip: once you've got the all of the windshield washer squirters, just slide the main squirter line on the, well, this is on the driver's side, so on the left side of the vehicle. Slide it up and out and pull the whole squirter assembly out so the lines aren't laying in the track in your way. Just one more quick thing. Cowling. Just trying to slide off. When you're putting the cowling back on, I've got to reseal this rubber down onto the lip here, because it just keeps popping off, so I'm just going to glue that back down. But there's little fingers here, little tabs, and this one's been broken off because someone's tried pulling this off in the past and didn't know what they were doing. Tab, I think there's supposed to be 4 altogether, and those slot into these tabs on the windshield. When you pull them, when you put it on, you put it on up here and pull it down, slide it down into this tab to lock it into place. Anyway, that's about it. Hopefully that's about it. Thanks for watching. Okay, so final shot. They are parking without issue. Thank you for watching.